right, we're here back on Salient Points. Let me scroll up to our rundown here. Salient Points number 77 for August
Off to a
2nd,
great start.
2022, as per usual. I mean, we're here, Dalan, right? We're here. We're back at it. Dalan's always feeling a little bit of case of the Mondays, of course. Before we came on Wags here, there's little issues happening with him. But I'm Carlos Macias, the host of this Here 5 program. And that's Dalan Kirkwood over there. In the background is apparently our sponsor of the week, Capri Sun. So I hope you didn't have too much of a hard time like trying to get into that package there, Dalan.
I did not.
No.
The straw is still on it.
Now you were saying you like the Kool-Aid Man one, right? That where you have to twist off the top.
We were specifically talking
about
8-year-old nostalgia. That's what we were talking about. And I was thinking about getting those little. I think they come in a 6-pack of little Kool-Aid bottles where you actually twist the top off. My mom used to put.
I think they might be like a 4-pack. I think, right? It was like a weird little 4-pack situation, or no?
No, it was a 6-pack. Okay. Oh no, they had the ones in the little box. It used to come in a box too.
Matthew, can you please get on this, man? Can you please hit this man up? But I hope you weren't allergic to the Capri Suns, Dalan. I hope you're doing all right over there. And we also got Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, if anybody got any job, need some windows cleaned, the car wash, something, just please to let me know. Bring that work on this way.
Okay.
This man needs a job.
All right, see,
I
there
just
you
got
go.
laid off on Friday.
There you go. Hey, it's kind of part of the whole. I don't know if you want to give explanations, but this has to do with a little bit of the crypto stuff, right? Kind of going down a bit.
Yeah, pretty. At least that's the explanation I got. So just trouble finding investors and keeping investors because of the crypto crash. So
there you go.
So now we're here.
So now we're here on this podcast. So now I'm back.
Crypto?
No, the investors were in the crypto metaverse space. Was. Yeah. So if the crypto's doing bad, then they won't invest.
Yeah, I think Dalan doesn't know how people get paid sometimes. People get paid in cash, Dalan. I mean, he's just talking about the whole general sector there. But Dalan, I do have something for you. No, Matthew hitting us up this week, but so we're gonna miss you this week, Matthew. But maybe next week you can kind of hit us up about something.
Or anybody else who wants to leave comments.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Like, subscribe on our YouTube page. Go to wegotcoms.com. We link you to the YouTube and all that stuff. Like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Leave some comments. You are more than likely going to end up on the show. Right? So if you leave a comment, make sure. Hit up Dalan for sure, though. And you'll really make it on here. We do have a comment from Jet. He did say, Red Hood was permadead too for a minute until he took a swim in the Lazarus pit. Gamora was permadead until they pulled the past version of her from the timeline. Superman was permadead, but really he wasn't. He was just in a Kakarot sleep chamber to recover. Point being, comic book deaths rarely stay dead in both Marvel and DC. Batman will return when they decide they want to use him. Dalan, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know what the fuck Jet is talking about, but maybe you can kind of help us out here, Dalan. You got something to say to Mr. Jet over there?
Well, first off, he's going based on the conversation we had last week about the 6 arc comic, Batman being dead for the new game Gotham Knights.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Got you.
And he expects Batman to come back. You got to remember, DC has rebooted their comics and have multiple origins for multiple superheroes, including multiple different deaths. I don't know how many times Batman has actually died. This is just another one of them. However, they have had permadeaths, just depending on which version of Batman you're reading or which version of Superman. I mean, there was an actual comic called Death of Superman, and he did not come back.
I mean, it is in the name. It is in the name, right? Also, I mean, what we were talking about is that the developers for Gotham Knights were like very specifically like, he's not in the game. The credits will roll and he will still not be in the game. So I know developers and people try to troll people, the gamers and viewers and all that. But I feel like for this one, I mean, they're talking about end credit rolls and you don't expect to see this man at all. So I feel like, they kind of let us know. They kind of let us know what's up on that one.
Okay, but I'm going to hit him up real quick. Jet, sure. You understand that Marvel, there is no consequences. There's not.
Okay, I think do you think we'll be okay? Like, it froze. Do we just run with it? What do you think? We have the audio.
He's asking you, Luis.
It's recording. It says recording. It just froze a little bit. We'll find out. We'll find out. We have an audio. Hey, let's just get into it, though. Let's get right into it. Now we're going to have to do some wacky stuff. But the headline this week, it's kind of interesting. I know it didn't blow up too hard. A couple things mentioned it. But I feel like if you guys saw that Sony introduced the Backbone 1 PlayStation Edition that's coming out for $99.99, basically $100. They said, quote, inspired by the look of the DualSense wireless controller, play your PlayStation games on iPhone through PS Remote Play, PlayStation Remote Play with ease. That's on their PlayStation blog. If you guys looked at the trailer for this, and I put this like, this is like Sony's trying to place this as like their Switch killer, like just based on, I mean, go back to see one of those like Switch commercials where they were like everyone's outside having fun. But I've never played my Switch, by the way, in any of those sort of interactions like how they show in those commercials. So they're kind of full of it. Like there's just Switches hanging around everywhere. But anyways, that's kind of like a similar vibe to this Backbone 1 PlayStation Edition, which Backbone has existed before, but this is like a PlayStation-ified version of it. It looks kind of pretty, I suppose. You put it into your iPhone and play Remote Play. And the commercial definitely makes it seem like, oh, this is a Switch killer, because you can play at the beach, you can play wherever you want. But if anybody's played PlayStation Remote Play, you know that it's not the same. It's not the same as playing it locally on your Switch. It is not at all. Like, I wish they would have made it clear in that trailer that it's like that's not what's happening, right? But they make it seem like you're gonna be playing Horizon, perfectly beautiful, no lag on the beach. But Dalan, what are your thoughts, man? The trailer. Do you feel like the trailer was a little misleading? I feel, or
yes, very misleading. It's basically just an attachment for your phone to play games on your phone, and
remotely.
Your phone barely runs. Yeah,
remotely.
Your phone will not be able to play these games the way that people think. Don't get me wrong. There are some nice AAA games that they put on the iOS, but they're severely downplayed for a lot of the games that originally release on the iOS or on the what was the Android?
iOS, but or Google Play. But the key component is locally. Even if the graphics are lower, it's locally, right? You're playing it locally.
Hey, they're gonna have to start taking stuff out of these games if they want us to be playing on these phones like they're PSPs. And I mean that with the utmost respect to the PSP, because I remember trying to play games on my phone with any type of. I bought them from the store, and they had no graphics to them. They were like so blocky, and
they had no graphics. Man, they might have not had high definition graphics, but they had to have some graphics, man.
I mean, the most recent one that I even played was what's it called? First Soldier, the Final Fantasy one. I tried that out. That game looked like it straight up came right out of the PSP in an emulator. So,
all right, there you go. Would you grab one of these, though, Dalan? I think this is
no.
Okay.
Well, he doesn't have an iPhone, so he can't.
No, even aside from that, the attachment reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, Carlos, but the DS at one point only had one joystick, and then you had to buy the attachment for it. That's what this reminds me.
No, I mean, I had that attachment. It's not. No, this is, at least this is uniform, man. At least this is
it reminds me of it.
But it shouldn't. But it shouldn't. And I speak as a person who had that attachment, that Franken adapter nonsense. And that was nasty, dude. This isn't nasty to me. This is a nice little add-on. The only unfortunate thing, it looks pretty nice. It looks kind of basically like the PlayStation 5 aesthetics to it. It's just, it's remote play, man. I can't do it. I've tried it enough times, and I just can't do it. Luis,
I like the fact that they decided to put a little Reddit button on it.
Yeah, they have a little thing on there. Luis, what are your thoughts, man? Do you feel like the commercial was misleading, or you were kind of okay?
Of course it would be. Why would they show you someone enjoying playing a game at the beach when it's not loading because they don't have a signal there? But like that, they're not going to sell this hardware like that.
True.
But the only positive I take out of this is that they haven't given up on stream gameplay. So similar to what Google's been doing with the Stadia, like they even announced months ago that they're like, okay, well, we're winding down. I think they cut out a few jobs off it, but they said they're not completely like stopping supporting the actual like Stadia platform.
Yeah.
So it's good. It can only be good because now we have Xbox, PlayStation, and Google in the like streaming games space. So hopefully that will encourage either one of them to step their game up and make it actually like a
Now,
good usable
would
experience.
would you consider grabbing this little adapter? It's a nice looking adapter, right? It's
Sure,
just
it's
for
nice,
remote play.
but I don't see myself like remotely playing any game. I don't even play,
Mm.
like you're saying, I don't even play my Switch like at a bus stop. Like there's no, I
Yeah.
don't do that. So
Hey man, if you could
I'm
remotely
not the
play
market.
GTA, would you do it?
No.
Oh,
Now.
it'd be horrible, dude. Not only are you dealing with the lag from like it loading the game itself, but then dealing with like the potential latency issues that come with even if you have it locally. There's like little.
Hey man, don't
tiny
worry. They'll
hiccups.
just put fog all around the place,
I
so
don't
it
even
doesn't
think
load
that's.
everything.
I don't think that would fix the
Yeah,
issue.
it wouldn't fix the issue. The connection is the issue, man. I've tried playing some of these 2D games, and it doesn't matter. It's the connection is the issue. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I mean, maybe it's a good thing, or maybe it's a good sign of society that it didn't blow up. It's like this is the Switch killer because people probably understood, right? They're like, this is BS. I'm looking at some nonsense right now. But there was some ripples out there. I just think it's interesting that PlayStation's kind of like, hold on, we got something for you guys. But it is what Luis was saying too, though, right? Is that they're kind of moving forward with this like streaming possibility and the potentials of it. I just hope we get there at some point because we're not there yet. Whoever is out there talking about it's perfect to play remote play, I'm like, I don't know. They got to be like a 5%, 10% of the gaming population out there that's getting beautiful remote play. But personally, it's just not there. It's just not there. We did get some more kind of firm confirmations on Grand Theft Auto 6, or just a couple more details, right? From Bloomberg, our friends over there at Bloomberg, Mr. Jason Schreier mainly. They had a big kind of blowout feature at Bloomberg. One of the kind of things that were nailed down, or that are kind of sort of nailed down, is that it's going to be set in Miami. There's going to be a female protagonist, and there's going to be new locations via updates. To me, I'm thinking maybe a little Destiny, because I don't know how they're going to add a whole full Vice City map every time they update it, right? But Destiny is a little more contained, right? It's got little smaller pockets that maybe could happen. It's going to be more culturally sensitive, quote unquote, more culturally sensitive. We'll talk about that in a moment here. But before that, they were actually trying to like blow it up. I saw someone like retweet. I didn't get the guy on here. My bad. But he did say like, The Onion had an article like a couple years ago maybe, where like how you have the shaving blades, you have 3 blades. It's like, no, I'm gonna give you 4 blades. No, I'm gonna give you 5 blades. And apparently they were kind of tinkering with the fact that it was probably gonna be like one city, 2 protagonists, or maybe like 3 cities and 4 protagonists at some point. So they finally like nailed it down, right? To us like, okay, 1 character, let's get that going correctly. But as far as like the female protagonist, that's supposed to be the first female Latina protagonist. But no, we did have female protagonists in GTA 1, 2, and even GTA Online. You can make a female character. This is from Kotaku, that they kind of did a whole article. It's like, no, we've had female protagonists before. But we'll have the GTA aficionado here go first. Luis, what are your thoughts on kind of some of the details that have surfaced, man? The fact that Miami, female protagonist, what are you thinking here?
Well, not everyone, but I guess I've been sort of talking about how the only location that makes sense for being next is Vice City or Miami again, because they've already done Liberty City and then they did San Andreas again. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of expected. I do recall hearing, though, these are all rumors. I don't know which one's true or if any of them are true, but it is the 1 city and 2 protagonists, not the one. One of them just happens to be a woman. Okay. People are kind of saying it might be like a Bonnie and Clyde sort of situation, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see for that.
And you're hyped, right? You're going to stop logging into GTA 5 so they get more pressure to bring this out, right?
No, of course not, because they're working on it. It's all good.
All right, fine, that's cool.
But they've already done kind of this in GTA 5, like adding a new location. It is just an update. I don't know what you mean by like Destiny wise, because it's just adding a new location on the map. Like you have to travel.
Oh, that's okay, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Well, I mean, in Destiny they're kind of new locations, but yeah, they're a little chunkier, I guess. But it's not. I don't know. I figured like when you hear new locations, like that you think like, oh, they're gonna add Liberty City in one of those islands or something like that, right? But kind of how you've seen them update, you feel like it's not really that big, right? Because even like we've talked about it a couple times. I don't know if it's been on Wax, but we talked about how like they added like the casino is available online, right? But not necessarily in the campaign, right? So I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. For Destiny, I say like because sometimes they
Well,
have
no, yeah, I'm not talking
little
about like the
or
casino. I'm talking about there's an actual Cayo Perico island. Like you travel there, it's
okay,
off of the map.
okay,
So
I
I'm
see.
assuming I'm assuming the new locations wouldn't be tied to the core story, but who
Yeah,
knows? I think
yeah.
it would be just an online thing.
All right, we need some more specifying around here. As long as to me, I want them to add it to the campaign. All right, because look, when I join you guys online for these missions, I want to play the missions. But guess what? Dalen's hacking into everything. So I'm like, and we're just standing here next to him while he's hacking, and I'm like, I'm not even. It's
Just
not.
too slow.
It's
Hey, wait though. As far as the culturally sensitive part, I mean, they've kind of already done a bit of that with
Mhm.
when they did the update to current gen for GTA 5.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
they removed some like a transphobic voice lines or something, and they're
yeah.
like from NPCs from the game.
Yeah, and that's the
So
next
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah, that's the next thing we have on here. I guess Dalen, you didn't have much to add, Dalen, for that as far as like what to expect of GTA 6.
Quite honestly, Louis said everything I was gonna say.
Okay. Oh, okay, Dalen. I see you. I see. So what you were referring to, Luis, we did get some more tweets from Jason Schreier. Like I said, he wrote out a kind of a big story over at Bloomberg regarding GTA 6. He did say Rockstar's overhaul started in 2018 when staff called out its culture of crunch, bullying, and frat house antics. The company has ousted managers accused of abuse and promised to cut down on overtime. One employee calls it a quote unquote, a boys club transformed into a real company. Rockstar removed transphobic jokes from the most recent re-release of GTA 5 and quietly canceled an online mode called Cops and Crooks after the George Floyd protests. Grand Theft Auto 6 will have a female Latina protagonist, the first playable woman in modern Rockstar history. So that's kind of what you're referring to, right? At least that they
hmm
as far as culturally sensitive, they're kind of like they cleaned it up a little bit. But I don't know, it's kind of tricky, man, because it's one of those things where it's like it's been satire though, right? And it's been like, to
yeah.
me, I feel like they've been inclusive. But yeah, of course they've been. I was even playing San Andreas, right? Like the remake, which is not as bad as people say. It's still kind of decent enough. But I was listening to one of the radio stations, and they were like, "Oh, take this pill, and you can quickly become a woman." I did it within the last 2 minutes. Or I was like, "Oh, okay, reasonable." So, it's one of those things, and you take that as you will, but it is one of those things where it's kind of it's gonna be tricky. I'm kind of interested to see how they pull it off, right? Be culturally sensitive and still be like satirical, because a lot, even the billboards, do you walk around and the billboards are all crazy and stuff like that? I don't know, in GTA 5 they toned it down a little bit, but there's still some craziness in the billboards that you see,
No,
like,
there's a lot of craziness, and they didn't
yeah.
tone down anything in GTA 5. It's
So
all out there.
I'm interested to see, because I feel like GTA or the Grand Theft Auto series, since that's been known for satire, could be like one of these things where it's like Chappelle or something like that. But even Chappelle, they try to cancel him, right? But I feel
hmm
like maybe they could be above the fray. It was like, dude, it's a joke. It's a joke. So I'm very interested to see how they kind of go about that. But what are you thinking? What are your thoughts as far as like, one of the things was the George Floyd protest and just kind of like transphobic jokes and stuff like that. But what do you think they can pull it off? Still kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they'll just have to be. I mean, they've already been pretty like intelligent the way that they navigate, sort of telling these jokes or like poking fun at things and blatantly saying like we do not. But you can tell that they're not serious about it, right?
Yeah,
But I think they'll probably do. They'll have to navigate sort of these things that seem to be like quote unquote untouchable now, like
yeah,
transphobic jokes and things of that sort. Like they might not even touch that at all,
yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So I think they'll be fine though. I think they'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, this is a smart enough company, and they like you said, they're gonna try to exceed expectations and all this stuff. So I'm sure they're, I don't know. I hope it doesn't lose its soul along the way. I suppose not that its soul is being like racial and transphobic and whatever else, right? But it's still, they're a little wacky. Their game's a little wacky, but maybe they can mature as well. Dalen, what do you think, man? As far as kind of like Rockstar cleaning up their act, I suppose, in some ways.
Well, I think when it comes to GTA, Rockstar is always pushing the envelope. Every time they actually release a GTA, to me, it's like GTA is the South Park of the video game world. They, for the most part, will try and push it as far as they can until somebody complains about it, and then they might do something about it. Or they might make it worse on purpose. It just depends on how they feel at the
Yeah,
time. And when they do that, it gives GTA it's its own thing. I don't think there's any game out there that could actually touch GTA at all. It's like trying to make a first person shooter to try and take Destiny out of the running. It's probably not going to happen for years.
Yeah.
I think right now they're trying to bring Saints Row into it and see if they can actually make the next GTA. I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, people are still
Well,
going to want GTA.
yeah, there is a kind of a Saints Row like soft reboot coming out in a few weeks or whatever. But I think Saints Row learned quickly enough that they're like, we are not GTA and we can't do that. So at some point, they became, and I really like that they did this, but I think it was Saints Row 3 or 4, where it was basically Crackdown. It was basically Crackdown. You leveled up and you were jumping on rooftops and collecting all kinds of orb type of things. And I was like, I like that. I actually very much like that. And they were very heavy on like the co-op kind of aspect. Like you're playing with the buddy and you're grabbing all these orbs. Like, okay, this in Saints Row. So at the very least, Saints Row, we'll see what they do with the new reboot, right? But they can't touch Grand Theft Auto,
GTA.
right?
You can't be a GTA. You could be a Stephen A. Smith, but you can't be GTA.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah, I mean, you mixed it up a little bit, but okay, that's fine. But that's fine.
I do like how Dalan believes that Destiny is the greatest shooter of all time too. By the way,
no, I'm not saying it's the greatest shooter of all time.
Whoa, Destiny.
I'm not saying that.
No, but it is pretty damn good. Those mechanics are solid, man. Say what you will about the story and it's lore heavy and all this other crap and how they handle their
pricing.
Their pricing, but that's a solid ass shooter. That is a very, very solid shooter. And it's sci-fi guns, dude. Sci-fi people are just maybe not going to feel the sci-fi guns, right? All right, so that's it for GTA. We're kind of hyped. For it. As far as that reboot, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play that, Dalan. So I'll have a couple words on that new Saints Row. It's out in a few weeks. We're going to move on to quick takes here. The MetaQuest is getting a markup. It's going up $100, and that started today or this week. It started. It's Stephen Totillo kind of threw this out there at the beginning of last week, I believe. He said $100 price increase on both models. Is there any example where the strategy has worked? Luis, I don't know if you have an answer to that question or just kind of your general thoughts on like.
Yes, cell phones in general. Cell phones in general have been going up and up in price. So I mean,
but those are new models, though. Those are new when the new one comes out, right? It's gonna be.
Well, yes, but then
pricey.
think about like iPhone people critiquing like, why is it $300 more when it's the same phone? And it's like, okay, well, so there's at least that comparison. It's not exactly the same hardware, but they've sold enough of these things that at this point they're just like, can we make some money on the new ones that we sell? Because we've been losing money on these, and they're just making on software sales for games or whatever. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm pretty sure they'll be okay because the Facebook Meta, they're always in the news. People hate what they're doing, but then they still log on to Facebook and buy their products. So it's interesting because I guess the phone comparison, I don't know, because you're buying a new phone, it's gonna be a different price. It's like when we bought the PlayStation 4. I forget what it was at, but 400 or whatever. Whatever the price was, but eventually it just went down in price, not necessarily up, right? And the PS5 might have been more expensive, but it's like, okay, it's a new version of the PlayStation, right? So phones are like that. But yeah, it's a little weird. I think you guys we did hang out last weekend when we learned about your, they let you go, I hope it's not
situation.
Too soon. I hope it's not too soon, but we hung out a bit and we did talk about that then. And you made the same argument, right? That it's like they sold enough and like they sold it to whoever was willing to give it a chance, right? Now at this point it's like, you didn't buy one, well, let's try to make a couple bucks out of it. But it is a little weird. I guess we'll see how it works out, right? Because it's still kind of like, we're gonna raise the price. We haven't done too much. We still don't run Half-Life Alyx, but that's fine. We're gonna charge you $100 extra. Don't even trip. But we did get a couple news of PlayStation VR 2. They did confirm a see-through view. I don't know if that wasn't confirmed before, but it is all in all caps, or at least capitalized. See-through view, meaning you can kind of, I believe it's like a double tap on the side of the headset, and you just can kind of see your environment. They confirmed that. You don't have to take off your headset. There's going to be a cinematic mode, which is cool. You can already do that on the PlayStation VR 1. But the interesting thing to me is that they copied like the Guardian mode. So we were just talking about the MetaQuest, right? If you've been in the MetaQuest, you kind of build out a Guardian, is what they call it, kind of like your surroundings, and you draw it out. And it looks like that's how the PlayStation VR 2, from what the picture I put here on the rundown is. But other than that, any other details that kind of stick out to you, Luis, or anything like kind of, They're just copying the meta, right? Or
No,
meta
this
quest at
looks
this point.
standard, like what the Quest is doing. Even the see, I mean, you own one. You've seen the see-through view
Yes.
on the Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
from the Quest too. Like, I mean, this happens with any new piece of hardware. Someone takes the leap of faith, and starts creating like what are the good user experience sort of things to do,
Yeah.
and then eventually people jump on and start copying that stuff too. That doesn't surprise me seeing these things, but it's good to see that it'll at least be familiar in some way. I probably won't buy one because it's not wireless, and I don't care.
That's all you
So,
need is wireless.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing to me. I'm pretty sure it's been on wax, right? We've talked about it before, where it's like, dude, where's the wireless, right? They did break it down to you just need one wire, right? They basically, like you were saying, Liz, they standardize features, right? Things are standardized over
Yeah.
time. It really comes down to the software at this point, right? So, and I think software right wise, they will come out swinging, like they did with PlayStation VR 1. Very much like the Vita though, where they came out with like there's a full blown Uncharted, there's a full blown Mercenary. Oh, I gotta charge my Vita, by the way, to get down with that Mercenary.
Don't hurt your thoughts, man.
Hey,
Continue.
man.
You got sidetracked.
Please
hard.
to remind me. Please to remind me. Anyways, but they did come out with full, like, on the Vita at the very beginning. They went full, full steam ahead. And they did the same thing with PSVR 1. So the first year of PlayStation VR 2 should be quite excellent. And then after a while, they'll be like, whatever, man. We'll just, we'll do whatever we can here. We'll raise the price as well because enough people have bought it at some point. The next thing we have on here, you did put Luis, so I'm not sure if you had a comment on this one, but Sony has been kind of putting little statements out there, little tweets, saying that they're worried about players jumping to Xbox if Microsoft owns Call of Duty, which of course I'm sure it'll be like free on Game Pass, right? Everything free on Game Pass. They haven't said anything about it being exclusive, and I think Microsoft would be smart to keep it on all the platforms, kind of like with Minecraft, right? Where it's like, it's available everywhere, it's just free on Game Pass, right? But this has to do more with like Microsoft is going through the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard, right? So Sony is kind of like in the weeds, in the legal weeds, like, hey, this is anti-competitive, right? I don't think they've said the words exactly anti-competitive, right? But that's kind of what they're saying, right? It's like, if you guys let this go through, it's anti-competitive behavior, they're gonna push them to that. But I'm like, it's coming to you too, PlayStation. I don't understand. Don't be too scared. But what are your thoughts on this, Lace? You did put a
Yeah, I mean, I guess we talked about this a handful of episodes ago. I had actually forgotten that they were purchasing what is it, Activision or
yeah,
Blizzard or
Activision
something?
Blizzard, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I remember my take back then was it would be stupid of Microsoft to take it away from existing platforms, like no
Yeah.
PC, no PlayStation, no Switch. But yeah, I don't.
Hey, what
I don't
about
think
your
it's going
handheld?
anywhere.
You don't forget about your handheld.
Yeah, but there's no Call of Duty. There's never going to be a Call of Duty on Switch.
Yeah.
Don't even trip. But yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere. And it does seem kind of like the little kid telling the teacher on some kid in the playground, like, hey, I don't like what he's doing over there. Can you
That's
please
not
stop
fair.
him from... Yeah. It's like, what the
Yeah.
hell? That's just so... And then it's a slippery slope, because you could start making the argument that any exclusive is like anti-competitive. So I don't know if you want to kind of get into the weeds on that if you're Sony.
Yeah.
So especially with all the exclusives they have coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
and
see how this unravels.
even Phil Spencer. Well, we could kick that one up here, but even Phil Spencer was who is the Xbox boss, right? He's one of the bosses over there. He's talking about God of War Ragnarok is his most anticipated game. That's not on Xbox. That's on PlayStation, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you got this guy. It's like on one side they're like, we're good with everything, and then Sony, exactly. I think that sums it up perfectly, Lise. You're playing in the sandbox, and it's like, look, teacher, look over there. That's not fair. So before the deal comes through, right, Sony is kind of like, this is why we disagree with it, right? This is why we disagree with it, because it's not fair. They're gonna move over there. The next thing we have on here is that there's a Diablo Immortal player, and of course that game has already found whales. All these people complaining online is there's plenty of whales, and I believe in like, I forget what the number was, but it's like $100 million already in like the last couple months or whatever.
It's a lot of money. Yeah,
it's a lot of cash, and us, I think we've been pretty fair about it. We bring up that people complain, but we're like, you're still gonna pay for it, and they have. But there is one player who is like way too powerful after spending $100,000, and he can't find a match now. So that's all good. And he wants to. He's like complaining and wants his money back. Apparently, he wants like his he wants a refund. It's like, dude, well, you're too powerful, man. We can't find a match. But that's it's a little. Give me a little chuckle. Dalan, any thoughts on that one?
Why would you do this for such a terrible game? Why would you do this at all?
Have we
He's got
established?
100K to spare, dude. He's a whale.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, you got 100K to spare. There's so much more you could do with that. You could have bought yourself a McLaren.
That's fair. Are McLarens 100,000 though?
They're like 80-something.
Matthew, please help us out here. Dalan hasn't spoken in a little bit, and I'm already like sicking Matthew on him. But I mean, is it not a good game? Have you tried it, Dalan? Have you played it to know that it's not a good game?
I've heard enough about it, and I've seen it, and I'm like, I don't want to touch this game. I don't.
Were they long? How do you know? Did you read through the whole article telling you that?
No, they weren't long. It was like 3 really. All right. So there was like 2 really long articles. Since you want to get the nitty gritty of it, but there were 2 really long articles. I read one of those articles where the guy, he was praising it for the first like paragraph, and then after that he just talked crap about it and just like they didn't put any of the original stuff that was in any of the other games. The mechanics kept breaking on him in the middle of trying to do stuff. Everybody's just I can't do it. I can't even do it.
Can we challenge you to try it, Dalan? Just one match?
You can challenge me to try it, but you got to give me the game. I'm not buying that game. It's free, though.
It's free, yeah. Dalan. That's what we're talking about.
I don't want to also get into the game and suddenly feel the need to purchase stuff. I don't even want that temptation from that game.
Just say no.
I can say no, but I'll just say no to even installing it.
Let's challenge you, Dalan, because I don't like this that you're like, it's an awful game, and they're like, wait, how is it awful? Because I heard a guy, he first started saying good things, and then he said bad things, basically a review, and like, we need your opinion. We need your opinion here, Dalan, so I challenge you. How about this? I think it's an iPhone-only game, Lise, or no? Is it an Android?
I believe it's mobile platforms.
Check if it's on your phone, Dalan. If not, next time you come over, please to try it out on my phone. I guess it's free. It's free, Dalan.
I will do that.
Luis, anything? Any kind of?
And then I'm going to turn around and tell you how much I hate it.
All right. Well, that's fair, but you played it though. You're not reading, random stuff online.
Some random one long article.
Yeah.
No, I'd have. No, this is just funny to me that and there is no clause there that says, warning, if you're too powerful, you might not find a match. So maybe that's the guy's angle. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like the complaint is, I can't find a match. I spent too much cash. I could have bought a McLaren. I spent the equivalent of that. That's what Dalan said. The next thing on here, you guys didn't want to pitch in on this one, but that's the whole point. Sony is dropping PlayStation 5 accolades, quote-unquote, feature. I don't know what it is. I didn't really care to know what it is because I'm like, if they're dropping it, why would I want to get invested in it? And you guys had no thoughts on it. Maybe that's why PlayStation 5 is dropping whatever accolades are.
Oh, I thought this meant feature, like as in like a video or something, like accolades for the rewards the console receiver. You're talking about the accolades feature on the console itself. Like where you could say good teammate, whatever the fuck.
Is that what that is?
Do you know what this is?
No, I don't know.
Because I don't think most people know what this feature is.
Well, that's probably why
I didn't even think about that with this like headline.
What do you know about it, Lisa? I guess the little that you know about it.
So there's this feature. Say you were playing some game. You're on Destiny and you find some random 6 to fill in on your raid. And you have a good game with this guy. You finish the raid, whatever, and then you could go onto their profile and say good teammate, like give them like a little accolade. It's like they give you 1 of 5 choices or something.
Okay.
But they don't really promote anyone to like use this feature at all, so I guess it makes sense to remove it. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's probably what happened. they said it's like, man, nobody's using this. Ain't nobody like. We got to talk about that raid experience actually, right towards the end over here and what you've been playing. That was something. It was something. We'll get to it though. That's a little preview for you guys. Just stick around. Google, and this is something you mentioned earlier, Luis, but Google says that Stadia is not shutting down. They responded to Twitter hacker alias Blue Fire Demon 44. He was talking to Google Stadia on Twitter saying, "Sigh. Incredible that I really have to ask this. This is like weird. Like the sigh is in between asterisks, and then he put in between parentheses. Incredible that I really have to ask this. Are you closing down soon? Is that a typo to closing? Are you closing down soon? And then Google Stadia said, quote, Stadia is not shutting down. Rest assured, we're always working on bringing more great games to the platform and Stadia Pro. Let us know if you have other questions. Yeah, so you did mention something, at least that has been happening. They kind of let people go. Maybe that's kind of what kind of spurred this, like, is that it for Stadia type of situation?
This happened months ago, though. I mean,
okay, gotcha.
the last time we talked about Stadia, they laid off a handful of people and downsized the team. Actually, I think they moved some people off of the Stadia team, kept a small team, and then also like fired some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that same like situation, they did mention almost immediately like we are not stopping support on Stadia. We're just like changing our priorities, basically, I guess.
Yeah.
So they said they wouldn't be stopping supporting it anytime soon because they do kind of believe in the technology. Honestly, they were of the ones that I've tried, it was the best. It wasn't great. Like I wouldn't play a whole game like that.
Yeah.
But it's getting pretty good. It's getting pretty good.
That's all we can hope, and maybe that's the thing that we were talking about the backbone earlier, right? The PlayStation edition of that is that they're banking on it, right? Because eventually, yes, the internet. Eventually we will join the first world countries like Korea, South Korea, that have blazingly fast internet, but.
Mm-hmm.
We're just dealing with some stuff right now, right? But they're banking on it, right? And eventually we're going to get to a future where streaming is good enough where we don't even need a console necessarily, right? A hardware to run it. But it's still not there. It's still not there. Dalan, what are your thoughts here, man? Is Google closing down soon? Google Stadia closing down soon?
I don't know about closing down, but I still think that Stadia was a great concept, but poorly executed. Because once again, as soon as Stadia launched, I completely missed the launch window because by the time Stadia actually came out, I no longer cared about it. Right. And I've been saying it ever since it launched. It's still going. I keep wondering why it's still going because I'm like, who? I don't know any. But this is actually a thing of I don't understand why people would continue to go to Stadia when they have their own consoles or they have the Switch or they could just play on their PC or even a laptop.
I don't think they are, though.
What do you mean?
I think it's just Papa Google keeps funding it. Like, they got the money. So
they got the money to fund it.
Yeah.
So they're not doing nothing new with it.
Yeah, we might be able to.
I don't think anyone's out there arguing like console wars, like Stadia's the place to play. Like, I don't think anyone's saying that. I think Google's just like, oh, you guys need more money to continue, researching this, and they just shelling out cash. Like, I think that's what it is.
And I think
at this point, it's like a test run, and I actually decided to relook it up right now as we were talking about. I was like, Stadia came out in 2019. It's been 3 years, and I'm surprised this thing is still going. It is very much on. It's puffing smoke at this point, just trying to stay alive.
I think the main thing to Stadia too that it hasn't necessarily taken off is I don't think they even really have like a subscription model. Like say like Game Pass, you already have streaming capabilities, as good or as not good as it is, and even with PlayStation, I mean the PS3 games you have to stream those, right? They are not. You can't play those locally on your PS5 and PS4. So it's one of those things where, and Stadia is a little unfavorable, I suppose, for the consumer, where it's like you're paying $50, $60 for a game, and it's like you don't own it locally. You're renting it, and you only can
have
stream
a subscription
it, right?
though.
Oh, do they? Okay, so
yeah, I had one.
I think maybe that's what they refer to as Stadia Pro, right? But it must not be like good enough because we would hear about it, right? Like Game Pass, we hear about even extra and plus the.
We don't hear about it because no one's looking at the games that they're giving you that week or whatever it is.
Okay.
But there were some decent games. I added them to my library. I played some of them. Like I said, it's really good. I still wouldn't play a full game on Stadia though. But it's getting there.
You were playing Resident Evil on this. This is what you played Resident Evil on, and the blacks on the screen.
No, this was like a 5-minute. I just wanted to see what it looked like. I was playing like Little Nightmares. I forgot what other. I was playing another game. I forgot what it was. Hitman or something, just to like try them out. I didn't play for more than maybe like an hour, half an hour.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's kind of dipping in this, right? Even like Nintendo, some of the games that they have that are quote unquote on the Switch are cloud editions, right? Like Hitman is the cloud edition. I think they might have had Control, I believe, is a cloud edition. So even Nintendo has their own like edition of it. But I think that's something good to know, that for you, for Luis, it's the better of the streaming ones as far as what you've experienced, right? So, maybe to them, it's our technology is obviously superior to any of these other knuckleheads, and they'll just keep it going, and hopefully it'll just work out in the end. We do have another quote from Mr. Let's see, Peter Moore. He was a former Microsoft vice president, and he also was I forget what his title was on the Dreamcast, but he also ran like the Dreamcast. He was an executive over there when the Dreamcast was around, as you guys would know if you listen to the podcast. I freaking love the Dreamcast. And I did put up a picture here of back in the era of Dreamcast versus PlayStation 2, right when the PlayStation 2 came out. I don't know if you guys remember, but the PlayStation 2 had kind of like shipping difficulties and like they just couldn't stock them. So Dreamcast put this on like billboards with the little redhead kid and his tongue sticking out saying, "Our deepest condolences to Sony on their PlayStation 2 shipping difficulties." So this man, Peter Moore, has been kind of in the thick of it, and he was on a Front Office Sports podcast, and this is a quote via svg.com. He's saying, quote, "People like rivalry. It adds entertainment to the conversation, even if you can get both. It's an ideological battle and people are attracted to that. We built and we encouraged the console wars not to create division but to challenge each other. If Microsoft hadn't stuck the course after the Xbox, after the Red Rings of Death, gaming would be a poorer place for it. You wouldn't have the competition you have today. Two big behemoths like Microsoft and Sony investing billions of dollars each. It's good for gaming." So it's kind of basically saying like, of course we encourage the console wars, like, and it's kind of, I don't know if we've said it on here, but I think we've said as much, right? Like the console wars really like benefit the companies, right? They benefit Sony, they benefit Microsoft, that there are people like, I'm a Sony guy, I'm a Microsoft guy, and it's like it creates this kind of like, yeah, like he was saying, ideological ideas where it's like, this is who I stand with, this is where I put my dollars in, and they kind of evangelize it, right? Like they tell other people about it. Get an Xbox, get a PlayStation. We do it in our own chat, right? Lee's like, I know Abel's hardcore like PlayStation guy, and then Samir's like, I love Game Pass everything. So it's kind of like one of those things where I think here we kind of play on anything, right? I mean, that's at least for me. I'll play on anything. It's like, oh, it's on Xbox. Play it on Xbox. Game Pass plus the Supreme, that might be the better option. Then I'll play it on plus Supreme. Dalan, we'll go with you first on this one, man. What are you thinking here? We got a guy, basically former Microsoft executive. Of course, we built this rivalry.
Well, I can say that, and it's been said many times, competition can be healthy. However, the problem with competition or creating that competition is somebody's going to be mad at somebody else on the other side, period. Eventually, there will be that rift, even though he says that we don't try and create that rift. Yes, you did.
He said as much, though.
No. He said we're not trying to create that rift.
Yes, right.
And yes, he was. He doesn't want to say that he was, but he was. Yeah. And on top of that, eventually, somebody's going to win. Okay. Right now, it's looking like Sony's taking a dive because Xbox buying up everything. And now they're afraid about, or at least in the previous conversation, Call of Duty might be that thing where they say, oh, look at that guy in the sandbox. Go get him, Teach. But
go get him, Teach. Go get him.
But imagine if one of them ended up actually winning. Yeah. Then who are they going to go after next? Nintendo? Nintendo's got way too much money to even try and fight against them.
I like that, dude. That was very slick of you right there. But yeah, I mean, it's there's always that's the good thing though, right? We don't want just one company kind of ruling it all, right? We want that. We want to see, and it creates like right now, how we've talked about it before already, right? There's like 3 different business models, right? Where Microsoft is Game Pass everything, PlayStation's like we have exclusives, and which kind of hurts them, right? If Call of Duty goes away or whatever it is, but they have big exclusives, big top of the line. You got Last of Us, Naughty Dog, and even the Ghost of Tsushima guys, the Sucker Punches of the world. And they're at a high level. Nintendo has the kitties and the portability of that, and the fact that
Nintendo, they failed an entire system, and they were like, "No, we're fine. Let's just do something else."
What, the Switch? You're not talking about
the Wii U.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, got you. I was like, well, hold on. The Switch is we might not get with it like all the time, but it's huge. Luis, what are your thoughts on this here rivalry situation?
A little interesting tidbit on the Wii U there. If I recall correctly, Matthew bought two of them, but he returned both of them at one point.
Oh,
So he got them enough to like, oh, Super Mario Brothers Wii like U version, and then he
Yeah.
played it. Was like, I'm sending this shit back. And then he bought another one for like another game, sending this shit back. So
Okay.
he even him like a dedicated like he tried to like the Wii U, and at
Yeah.
some point it's just like throw it in the trash,
I
dude.
just can't. I
But
just can't.
I
Yeah.
did this. I did some googling, like to try to find out. I guess similar to what you did, like where did the console war start or whatever. And it did. I found something interesting here from Digital Trends, and it's a tweet from I guess Xbox Magazine or something. And on top of it, on the top left, it says Mario Sonic, prepare for war. Blinks is here. Do you guys remember Blinks?
Oh,
Yes, but
man.
yeah, it shouldn't be remembered, right? But yes,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. But I guess yeah, similar to that. Like so, Nintendo was just like, oh, Microsoft wants to start. Whatever, dude. We're just gonna release like 10 more Mario games. Like they just don't care. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo is like on their own playing field. They don't engage. They don't nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think console wars are interesting. It's last generation. I think towards halfway point, it was pretty clear that Sony was winning. They kind of swung a lot of people from Xbox and came over this way. Now the pendulum is swinging the other way. So who knows if
Yeah.
it'll ever settle down. But I don't know if they were necessarily trying to start a war. You guys are saying that they were. I think they were just trying to like take jabs at each other, and then
No,
at a
Yeah.
certain
they're
point, at
trying
a
to
certain
stoke the
Dalan,
flames.
Give him a
Okay.
chance. Give him a
All right,
chance.
is it
Give him a
Dalan,
chance.
shut up, Dalan.
Give him
All
a
right,
chance.
go ahead.
at a certain point, you can't control your minions, right? Your lemmings, like they're just gonna go at it. Like they vehemently believe so much that Xbox is the best. Like fuck your console. Like they're the ones that are engaging, right? And like
Yeah.
that sort of like really aggressive banter. Not
Yeah.
even banter; it's worse than that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah. You can't engage with these people. It's kind of how you're saying. You
No.
can't even
If you engage, you
Yeah, if
lose.
you engage, you lose. Exactly.
Don't fall for the cheese.
Don't fall for the cheese, indeed. But it's just interesting for it to hear it so explicitly. But it is one of those. Of course they want that. Of course they want someone to be behind them. But people get out of control. People do definitely get out of control, and it creates kind of a toxic environment where it's like I wish we could have fun. I wish we could have fun talking about video games and the fact that Xbox does some good things, PlayStation does some other good things, and Nintendo is over there. You gave it to your little bro or little sister to play with. Nintendo's amazing though. Let's just let me put that out there. But
let's just establish that Nintendo's amazing.
These guys,
yes, it's on. They have their own pedestal.
They just have their own situation going on over there. But it's like Lisa was saying, it's like we're not even concerned right now about what you guys are doing. We have made Mario Sonic 25th edition or whatever, and we're doing good. Next thing on here before we move into
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. You made me think. I was thinking. It was an image in my head. I was like, yeah, Xbox and PlayStation are over there in the sandbox yelling at each other. Nintendo's over here like, look at them over in that sandbox looking like they're eating glue.
No, that's not even what they're doing, Dalan. That's not even what they're doing. In Luis's analogy, they're in the sandbox throwing sand at each other. Nintendo's with their own little tiny Tonka truck looking at the other side, just kind of going back and forth on that truck. They're not even worried about the kids in the playground. They're just they got their own little Hot Wheels in their Tonka truck, just hanging around in the grassy area, So next thing we have on here, Dan, this one's for you. And Dan, I don't know how big you were looking forward to this, but there's a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake coming, but apparently that one is in serious trouble, end quote, and quote unquote delayed indefinitely. The Bloomberg headline was, quote, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is indefinitely delayed. Bloomberg has learned developer Aspyr abruptly fired 2 directors this month and told staff that the project is on pause as it tries to figure out what comes next. I don't know how much you were looking forward to this, Dylan, but I hope you were looking forward to it as much as you were the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. This is they fire directors around here. Like I feel like that's kind of an issue. I feel like that's kind of an like when does this come out? I don't know when this comes out.
Well, this one feels more of a development hell issue rather than we're just gonna pause it all together because
of a development hell
issues.
Because of a development hell of their own with the Prince of Persia development.
That's a different type of development hell. Their development hell for Prince of Persia is, okay, we need to go back and rebuild this game because apparently people aren't liking the way that it's looking. we need to fix this. And then at some point they were like, all right, this is costing too much money. Let's just put it on a shelf and go do something else. Ubisoft has plenty of projects to be dealing with. All right, but
like
when it comes
the
to
50th Assassin's Creed, Dalen, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right.
But for the people doing Knights of the Republic, their whole development hell is we've gotten rid of some of our top people. We cannot continue like this. We need to figure this out. What are we going to tell the people? Nothing. Just stop. Just stop.
Just stop. Just stop letting the news leak. Just don't say anything. Tell them
just stop it.
Okay.
Just we're done for now. We're gonna shelf this idea for sure. Let's not be another Crackdown 3 or whatever those other games where they came out after like 10 years. What was the one game they came Duke Nukem Forever? It took them 10 years or something like that to make the next installment.
15.
Whatever.
And it came out and it was it was not great when it finally came out.
So they probably didn't learn their lesson from that. Other companies learned their lesson from releasing a bad Cyberpunk 2077 follow-up. Other companies have not learned the terribleness of putting a game in development hell and then coming back years later talking about, yeah, this is the game we're releasing, and it's like way outdated. No, it looks blocky, looking like it's a Donkey Kong 64. We're not trying to play that. It has no graphics. It has no graphics.
There are no graphics. Never mind that it's not high quality or low quality graphics. It just has no graphics.
No graphics.
I am looking at nothing right now. It's kind of interesting, right? Because I think these are like beloved games. I think that kind of is what happens with these, right? With Star Wars Knights of the Republic, it was an incredible game, man. It really was.
It told many stories.
It was BioWare.
Broken.
It was BioWare at the top of their game. The gameplay was really nice. It was an RPG. It was one of my style of games, like a Western RPG style of game. And also Prince of Persia Sands of Time was incredible as well, right? So it's kind of like one of those things where they probably want to clean it up. They want to probably put some graphics in, Dalan. They probably want to put those in. But I think they kind of take a step back and they're like, this shit is not good enough. This is like we might as well just release. Get the guys that worked on Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, or the trilogy. Get those guys on, and they'll slap it together, and we'll just update it a couple times. But I think it's one of those things that they look back and they scope it out, and they're like, this is not.
This is not coming out the way we expected.
We need to rethink this. Am I onto something there, Luis? I know you didn't have an exact comment on this one, but did I hit something there? Maybe based on your own developer insight a little bit, or just you?
I don't really know. I've never been in that situation, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, so it could be a number of things, right? It could be kind of a whole bunch of things, right? A development hell, like Dalan was saying, they're in their own version of that. We were in our own collective hell though this past week, and I think we could kind of talk first. We can kind of talk that first, right? And then we'll kind of go into our individual, what we've been playing. We tried Destiny raid, Vault of Glass. Luis's first time playing a raid, I believe. I'm gonna say this though, because we've played it, Dalan. We played the original one of this. This was the first raid from Destiny 1, right? The original Vault of Glass. It was incredible. We did tear our hair out. Not as much as this past weekend when we tried it, but
we only did it for one day. We only did it for one day in this particular case, because when we did it before, we would take multiple days to try and do the raid. Like we'll do like one section, be like, all right, we're done. Frustrating as it was, let's put the game down, calm down, and come back later. And then we'll come back the next day and we'll do the next section. And then we'll get somewhere else and we'll hit another checkpoment. Like, all right, come back before the reset.
Yeah, but we made progress though.
We were trying to run the entire raid in one night,
and we were not gonna do that. That's like an
immediate
thing.
Weren't.
But hold on, Dalan. Hold on. Give me a second here, Dalan. Luis, so we played this. This was the original raid. We kind of were mesmerized by this thing. Like, damn, this is a game, and they added graphics to it too, no less. Like they had graphics. Like it had graphics. It was an amazing experience, and I know we've kind of probably been building it up for you this whole time. And I like that Luis was basically like, "This is what I've been missing out on." What are the pros and I guess the cons? I know there was a lot of cons, but what are maybe a pro that you kind of
what are the pros? I'm pretty
there
sure
might only be like a pro or a pro and a half, I suppose.
We made it in the front door.
Okay.
That's what we did.
All
We
right.
made it in the front door.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of should have known. Like, I don't know if this is gonna happen tonight, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't get through the front door. That
Yeah.
took a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, I will say the interesting part of it was I don't think I've had to communicate that effectively in any game at all, even though we didn't make it through that section.
Yeah.
So that was a cool. I mean, you saw me. I was looking. That thing was 2 inches from my face. I was looking at both of them. I
Hey,
was like,
Luis was
I'm
doing
ready.
his job. Luis, you were doing your job, dude. You were
Oh, I
definitely
had my
doing your
shotgun
job.
out.
Yeah.
I was one blasting it. Didn't want to waste no time. I was ready.
Yeah.
Two's down.
Hey,
Yeah.
at this point, it was about being efficient and working as a team,
And it wasn't
and
gonna
that is
happen
something. That's
with that team.
but that's what makes the raid fun is the fact that most of the time when you're playing Destiny, you're just like, all right, let's go kill everything, get to the end, and kill the boss.
So Luis,
you don't have to communicate. I'm off the
So
mic.
Luis, we
but
got
with the raid, you can't do
Luis,
that.
we got past the first door before Dan cuts you off and just veers
Nah,
off.
I'm going to
completely
be
in a
quiet
different
for a
direction.
moment. I'm going to let you have
So
this.
we got through the front door, which is not that complicated of a mechanic. That's not that hard, but we made it, and then we made it through like one or two of the next couple phases, and then you said the communication was kind of like, oh, it requires some talking and communicating.
Mhm.
Anything else, or is it just negative from there, or was there any other?
I mean, it was. I had fun knocking people off the edges while I waited. That was a cool thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah, one of our homies kept leaving in the middle. That really slowed us down. That made it so much worse.
Well,
I'm
and there
sorry.
was an MMA fight, so I'll kind of throw myself out there. But there was a fight. I was like, I'm gonna take a break when the main event comes on, and
Your 30-minute, 40-minute
I did.
break.
So Luis, what do you look? I gotta like as far as the raid is concerned, it that is part of it. I don't know if that's like the fun part of it, but the fun part of it is you bring this random group of people because a lot of times we've played with random people, right? It's maybe 2 or 3 of
Yes.
us that we know each other, and we're throwing in randoms in, right? And a lot of it is like, all right, let's kick this person out because they're definitely not. That's what makes this one hard because we can't necessarily kick anybody out. These are all people we know, and we're trying to get them through the raid. You can't just quit on them, right? But some of it is, I don't know if it's the fun, but part of it is like, all right, who has to be where? What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're not doing? And coordinating all that, right? And the fact that we're like, okay, go here because that's where we're gonna DPS the boss and kind of get the mechanics all just like nailed down, right? Like we have to play in a precise manner to get through these like mechanics, right? But yeah, that experience was rough. It was just really rough. I will say that. But the
parts where things were clicking,
yeah,
it was really fun. The parts
Yeah.
where things were clicking, it was really fun. But there, we already touched on it, but there was a lot of waiting. There was a lot of dying that was going on that we weren't. But
Yeah.
that's where what that comes in. What you're talking about, we're like, okay, who needs to? Does someone need to change their role? Where do we move them? Maybe we need to switch our loadouts, like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I see the appeal, but it hasn't I haven't finished one yet.
You have to. I feel like you have to. Well, you know what? And it's finishing it, and I mean, not that you have to do it, but we ran these raids like multiple times, right? The first time is frustrating, and then we run them a couple more times, and it's like the way like you understand the mechanics of it, right? To such an extent was like, oh, okay, this is like it clicks, it all clicks, and it clicks in such a beautiful manner. But of course, the first time through. And especially since everyone is first, I think only me, Dalan, and Jeremy Dalan, right? He beat the Vault of Bless
half
as
and
well.
half.
Yeah, he beat one of the raids.
So
with us.
when it's half and half like that, it's a little rough. But Dalan, what do you think, man? Well, how about this, Luis? You're continuing. When we have a
We'll
moment.
give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
There we go.
So there's a couple of raids, and they're all different with different mechanics, and they can definitely be pretty fun, and they can actually be pretty cool to look at too, because you can tell how much work they put into these raids,
All the graphics.
and the level design,
They put
and
in
all
graphics.
the
They
graphics,
put in actual
foreground
graphics.
and background. It's not like those background graphics. What was the recent game that we played, Carlos, where you said it looked like they put a GIF in the background or something?
I gotta remember. But
Oh, man,
they do that a lot. Say, Dave, so what's up with this group, man? Are we gonna make it through this raid? Like, let's just be honest here. Let's put it on wax.
Well, we can make it. I do believe that this group can do it if people communicate, for damn sure.
Okay. Okay.
They actually listen to the people who have beaten the raid.
Who was it, Dalan? Who wasn't listening? Luis was listening. I was listening. Once I made it back from my UFC fight, I was listening. So who was it?
I'm gonna say him by his tagger name. Mr. Sleepy was not listening for a while.
Okay.
He was definitely off doing his own thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna call Jet out on this one because Jet was playing with us.
Okay.
He got confused a couple of good times until he started to really find his niche. And if we played a little bit longer, we could have gotten through it because we were actually getting it down.
All right. What
Because
about
everybody finally figured out what they were doing, we could have did it.
Jeremy? Jeremy, is he asset or liability? Jeremy Prime.
Low.
Jeremy Prime. He's been on the
I-
podcast, by the way. Whoever Jeremy.
He was actually a pretty good asset when it came to call outs. He was definitely making sure that people were on top of that.
All right, there you
So
go.
he was trying to make sure that the mechanics came together.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll give it another college try, I guess. Luis, what else have you been playing, man? Besides being frustrated with us for a few, we did play Quarry, huh? I forgot about that.
Did we play the Quarry? Oh
you
man, we
played
did
Quarry.
play the
We
Quarry.
watched you play Quarry. That's
Oh, that's right.
What were your guys'
Decide, Carlos.
What were your guys' experiences watching the Quarry? I guess.
It was a very slow start.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. I'm just curious because it doesn't seem like we fully met all the characters, and it doesn't. It still seems like it's setting something up, and we're like what 2.5 hours into it.
Yeah, like 2 chapters in or something.
When do I get to play? When do I get to play the game? That's it. I do like the situations we do kind of create where like you and I started doing it, Carlos, where we're like just voting as fast as possible to make Dalan make a decision, and then he was just not conflicted at all. He's just like X, like immediately was just like, this is what we're doing.
Nope.
Yeah, and just
It's
to
hard
kind
to
of
do.
explain that a little bit, but there is an option like when you come across some decisions, right? Is that there's a wolf pack mode, and I think there's I forget the other mode is called, but it's
Lone
one where
wolf or something.
lone wolf or something where your buddies can thumbs up, thumbs down, but it doesn't matter. You ultimately make the decision, right? Whoever's controlling that. But I like giving you guys some some agency here. So I went with the wolf pack one, so it's majority decides. So we would get into these little quagmires where I was like, I'm voting real quick, and then the third guy had that little bit of pressure. I felt the pressure when I was the tiebreaker, but Dalan was like, "Whatever, I don't care." Like he was already.
There was a point where I did feel the pressure, but there were a couple of times where it was like, "There's an obvious choice here. I don't even know why you went the other way."
So
The wackiness.
So that's been the fun so far, even though I've been the one playing it. But as far as playing it, I guess it kind of plays like the other Supermassive games so far. We haven't gotten into anything too actiony. It's a little interesting how like the game will make you. The QTEs are like we all have to like get the
we
right.
all have
we
to
all
get to that
the right
QTE.
So that's kind of interesting. If you have to press up, we all have to press up. But I think even that might be a majority thing too, as well, right?
Yeah,
like
it is because I
yeah.
failed a few of them. It shows who fails too, like the name flies down.
Yeah.
So you can tell
Oh,
who fails.
snaps.
So as far as the game itself, so far I guess we gotta play it a little bit more, right? Just to kind of see. Hopefully, I mean, why are you guys not playing? I don't understand. Even with the lower tier, the lower quote unquote lower quality games like the Dark Pictures Chronicles, you're playing kind of from the start 2 characters, right? So this thing better be amazing once everyone gets a handle on someone, right? This better be like, oh, this is good. But it's taking a while. Luis, what have you been playing by your lonesomes over there, man?
So aside from being frustrated at the Quarry and Destiny, I've been frustrated at
snap.
Returnal.
Okay.
At Returnal because I'm back on Returnal. So I've actually been making it more since the last week's episode. I've been making it more of an effort to try to get into that game. I still haven't gotten to the top of that mountain. I guess the second biggest like next task you have to do. But I'm working my way up there. I'm moving through these rooms a little more quickly, like less.
Are you still in the desert?
Yeah, but so I guess the thing when you go into the desert is you're supposed to reach the top of some tower or mountain that you can see in the distance. So I keep getting close to it and then I die. So I haven't even gotten to the boss. Or I'm assuming there's a boss up there.
Yeah.
But I am getting, I guess, a little more confident, like navigating the dangerous areas of this game, like a little more John Wicky, I guess, just like okay, I'm gonna murder that guy, I'm gonna murder that guy, let me reload, throw that gun down. So I think after I'm probably reaching the point where the game is starting to like enough cycles have passed and I've upgraded enough things that it's kind of starting to level out a little bit.
It starts. You
did-
start clicking with the mechanics, right? Like you're like, okay, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I need to do here and there.
And they did just introduce like a new enemy type I hadn't seen yet. So it looks like that happened at the right time because it seems like it's about to get harder, like again. So we'll see what happens, but I'm enjoying my time with that.
All right.
and Horizon Forbidden West. Really just playing this game because I want to finish it. I'm not super invested in the story, if I'm being honest. But I'm working through it. They're grabbing me. Maybe it's just because I take so much time in between playthroughs that when I do get into it, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to murder some dinosaurs, ready to murder some machines, and then it's just like 30 minutes of like cutscene, like me asking
Okay,
somebody
makes sense.
questions like, what am I
Yeah.
doing next, and then just going through all the dialogue options. Like, okay, so that's it. Feels like it's slowing me down, which is probably why I'm not
Mm.
super into it yet. But
Do you feel like it you like it better than the first one, or is it on par? Is it worse, or how you feeling about it? I guess
it's
so.
better. It is
Okay.
better than the
All
first one for sure, in pretty much every single way.
right.
Like I said last week, though, the climbing specifically does kind of irritate me a lot. Like it doesn't do what you want it to do like more than half of the time when you're like trying to
Okay.
like, oh, let me just climb to the top and to the right, and it's just impossible. Like it does not happen. So
Yeah.
you have to like go left, up, and then right or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll work through it. I'll work through it. See if it grabs me. See if it
All right.
grabs me.
Well, I'm looking forward to a little review, possibly. And like the reviews, you're just gonna say crap on here, and then I'll transcribe it later, and then I'll transcribe it later. That's the extent. All right. I'm trying to help you guys out here. Well, help me help you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Is that it? You've had time. So with your time, this is what you've been doing.
What? No, this was when I still had a job. I was
Oh,
playing these games when I still had
oh.
a job.
So
So, but now I
jobless.
have even more time
Oh, okay, got you,
to
got
get
you.
into
Now,
Okay, all
Returnal.
right, there you go.
I am curious because you put it up here. You put Returnal Intergrade. Why'd you put Intergrade
Just
up
a
there?
wacky name,
It's
just
just
like I
keeping
did
it
Horizon
wacky,
Forbidden Water graphics. That's it.
Oh,
They actually put graphics in that game. They don't like just
Hmm.
graphics
they
at all.
had graphics. Thank goodness. We
For
need
for
games with graphics.
for me, I tried out on Dalan's recommendation, and I think this was Wax right last week. Raji, what is it? An Ancient Epic, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's like Prince of Persia," and I was like, "Okay, cool." I think I
It
might
was
have even
low
said it.
tier Prince of Persia.
Did you say low tier though? I feel like you did not say low tier because that's exactly what I found when I entered Raji. I was like, this is not Prince of Persia. If anything, it's like a simplified God of War. Like it feels like they're obviously like God of War has kind of like that rhythm to it. Well, the old ones, right? The 2018 one kind of switched it up a little bit.
Hitting the
But
chain.
yeah, you're hitting them with chains or whatever, and then you're dodging, right? Always dodging, you always dodge in God of War, hitting them with the chains and dodge. That's what it felt like. It wasn't as pretty. It was not as interesting. It just didn't grab me, and very. Not very low tier, but it's just did not dig this at all, Dalan. So thank you for your recommendation. That is one that I would like. Another reason why I will not take Dalan's recommendations. It's going off of Game
Snaps.
Pass. It's going off of Game Pass, and I'm okay with it leaving Game Pass. Like I'm okay with not having beaten it and that it's gone. But
I think it did go off of Game Pass, and I did beat that
you
game.
beat it in time. All right, I'll hear.
Yeah, I
about that.
did beat
Well,
that
actually,
game in time, and it actually
yeah.
gets better as you get more powers.
Yeah, if you
quite
like. So
honestly.
what are you? What's your? I have. Well, actually, you know what? Let's. I played a little bit more San Andreas. That's about it. Still
Okay.
going for the Platy. Still giving the soundtrack more credit. Not as good as Vice City. Still, but it's still nice. It's still like, damn, they had some good music in this. I just never gave it a chance because now I'm grabbing the horseshoes. I'm grabbing pictures, and like it always works out for me. Like,
I'm sorry, that was very confusing. I'm grabbing the horseshoes.
Uh,
What are you doing in this game?
hold on,
sir?
Dylan. The collectibles in the games, quote unquote collectibles in San Andreas, is the first one that you can get kind of right off the bat is in Los Santos in the hood, right? You can get 100 tags. You can tag up 100 walls. That's the collectibles in Los Santos. In San Fierro, there are pictures, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be kind of hard because I gotta take the picture in a certain way. It's like, no, there's just a little like camera icon in the sky randomly, like it's on top of a boat, it's on top of the Golden State, and all you gotta do is take a snapshot of that little icon, of that little floating little icon thing. And I was like, okay,
The
simple
camera
enough.
picture.
Yeah, the camera picture, you just take it like snapshot taken. And in Las Venturas, in the Las Vegas version of it, you're looking for horseshoes, and I made full use of my jetpack to find all these horseshoes because it's just randomly everywhere. It's shit that I never did in originally, man. But with trophies, now that I'm going for them trophies for that Platy, gives me a perfect excuse. Like, damn, I didn't even know this was here. I didn't know it was Heist 1.0 happening in San Andreas. I did not know any of this. So, it's Critical Path Carlos. That's just par for the course. But give me some trophies, and yeah, I'll explore more of your game. That happened with Stray, which I believe you're gonna talk about a little bit as well, Dalan. But what do you want to start with, Dalan? Raji, or you also said you played a little more Stray, whatever you. Maybe Raji, right? Just to give us a positive vibe on that, I guess.
Well, for Raji, I honestly did enjoy this game once I actually made it all the way through it. Well, I'm not gonna say once I made it through it. When I made it like halfway through it and I had a good number of the powers, like I said, it actually starts getting better as you get more equipment and you start to actually pick up those experience points that actually gives you higher powers to be able to do more stuff. I was electrocuting and freezing a whole lot of stuff at some point because early on, yeah, you're doing a lot of rolling and basically dying if you don't know what to do with these monsters. I will say this, even though I like the game, it doesn't give you a lot of instruction on really how to kill these things. And then it doesn't even tell you that you have like an actual super button. You have an actual super button. You can do a special. And they don't tell you that in the best of fashions. They just like, here, you have this power now. Go do something with it. Like, okay, what's the button? It doesn't teach me the button.
Yeah, I got to that point, dude. I mean, I had specials. I was electrocuting people and all this stuff. And I knew there was like area of effect moves and all this stuff. I was like, I don't want this in my life. Like, I don't know what it was. It just didn't grab. I was just like, this is not. Maybe that's what it was. See, you set it up wrong, Dalan. You told me Prince of Persia, and Prince of Persia had combat, but it was not like that complicated. It was really more the platforming, right? And the platforming in this is pedestrian. You know.
Yeah, you're right. I probably should have associated it better with God of War.
But I'm glad you had, I'm glad you had fun with it or whatever. Was it a satisfying kind of a conclusion to the story and all that? And
no, they had that conclusion where they say, "Hey, this is good enough. We're gonna make a part 2."
All right. Well, you made it before the Game Pass ended, right? So I'm happy that you made it there.
Yeah, it's gone. At this point, people gotta buy it.
Okay. Well, we got like 2 different opposing opinions on here, so you gotta choose who you trust. The guys playing San Andreas for a month, or Dalan who dabble in different games.
Hey, all right. So it's not the greatest game, but it's not like it's a bad game either.
All right, there you go. How much? Yeah. How much would you pay for it, Dalan? If you had to pay for it?
In today's currency, if it's crypto, $20 maybe.
All right, there you go. You played a little bit more Stray. Have you beaten it? Did you solve?
No, I did not beat it, but I finally got to the point where I have my little defensive system, and it's honestly it just keeps getting better. The more you walk around with this cat, the funner it gets, honestly.
Yeah.
And you get to see all different types of the city. And when you don't have a weapon, those little, what are they called, Zerks? They're very frustrating to be anywhere near.
Yeah. So for you like that they're adding like more, like just kind of adding more mechanics to it or whatever.
Well, that's kind of what you want with a good game, is you want to consistently feel like you're progressing, and Stray does that. I didn't think they would be able to do all this stuff with Stray. It still doesn't make sense to me how this cat is understanding all this stuff, but it's a good game of progression for the player.
It's very goal oriented for a cat, right?
It's got one goal.
It's got missions or whatever. Yeah, I think you know what? It gave me sort of like Eco and Shadow of the Colossus vibes in a way. So to me, I would prefer to go that direction, right? You're like in this huge world with a tiny little cat, right? And like it's like things are massive, and like so to me, I think I would have liked it more, and I did like it well enough. 8.5 I think is a pretty good score in my opinion. But I feel like I would have liked it more had they not overcomplicated it too much with like too many mechanics, where it was like, okay, if you played Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, you don't get a lot of extra gameplay elements.
Get the stick, call your person.
but it's amazing. It's like one of the it's like one of the best games ever made, right? And I think Stray,
call your person.
And I think Stray would have like done better in that way, I guess, if it was just like, okay, let's make it about mechanics, let's make it about platforming, instead of like let's just add all these kind of mechanics, right, and kind of go in that direction. Anything else, Dalan, before we kind of get to our little zinger here?
I had one, but then you started talking and I forgot. It's not on you. It's not on you. That one's on me.
Okay, that's fair.
Have fun driving that cat.
Yeah, privatecat.com. Our zinger for this week. We have a YouTuber. His name is Basically Homeless. He built a PC gaming rig inside of a toilet. That's his name, damn. Basically Homeless. I'm sorry. That's his YouTube name. Built a PC gaming rig inside of a toilet that actually flushes. All he wanted to do was build a 120 hertz like FPS shooter gaming machine that he'd be able to play mouse and keyboard while sitting on the toilet. And this is a quote from the Kotaku article. They said, quote, according to Basically Homeless, he had to learn basic plumbing and how to cut porcelain to create this bizarre PC. The end result is both a conversation starter and a man who can now fix his own toilet. Truly a win-win situation. Can you describe this for us, Dalan? What are we looking at here, man? Like, I put a picture up of this PC gaming toilet that flushes, that actually flushes.
It's like he took the actual bowl of the toilet and cut out the front of it so that you could actually see through.
Wait, this isn't the bowl. This is not the bowl.
No, this is the bowl. This is the tank. I'm sorry,
okay,
it's the tank.
Yeah.
They cut out the front of the tank for this bowl. And you know what? If you're supposed to be able to sit on it and play and be able to use your PC, it's not going to be fun to really look at your PC if it's at your back the whole time. But I guess it's functional if you got wires coming out of it, because I see the wires come out of the bottom of it. I assume it's hooked up to a monitor somewhere and a keyboard. But right in the smack dab of the center of it, you got the whole plunger thing with the pipe, and when you pull this thing, you get the water that goes down the center. It's in such a stupid spot. It's like, you could at any moment. You could at any moment have a technical failure and just watch water go in the wrong direction. Just a splash in the wrong direction, and your whole CPU is going to be gone.
Well, and from what I understand, he did have like some leakage issues. I didn't get the quote for that, but he was like, he had to fix that. He had to figure that out, whatever was like leaking or whatever.
And this is why I didn't like the old school liquid cooling system for a lot of computers.
Because of the toilet?
I mean, toilet or no toilet, the liquid cooling system had a bunch of tubes that actually had water that cycled over the actual processor in order to continuously cool it. But if you had any leaks, that was like the end of your PC. And in this case, I'm wondering if he's ever going to have problems. But it looks like a sturdy PC, because that porcelain's not going nowhere.
It looks like a sturdy PC. What is the purpose of this? But it is a little wacky. It's a little kooky. Luis, what the hell are we looking at, man? Is this what you're gonna do with your time off? Or, gotta try to figure out how to put a PC on your toilet's tank.
All I have to say is technology is incredible. That's really it. I don't know what would drive any individual to like put these two thoughts together, but I admire the determination and drive to like get this thing done.
Hey man, just power your next PC with your refrigerator. You'll be good.
And that's it for us this week. Carlos Macias, the host of this here fine program. I forgot what I was doing here for a second.
Who are you?
Salient Points number 77. Thank you guys for joining us. Like, subscribe, of course, to YouTube. Leave a comment, and I'm sure we're going to kind of throw it on there. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir. I hope we got you through your case of the Mondays today, Dalan, this week.
Nah, man, after this, I'm going to go knock out.
Oh, Dalan is done. Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel. Thank you for joining us, and kind of good luck on the job search out there, man.
Thank you.
All right, we'll kind of, hey, get this. You said you would do what? Power washing windows?
Wash windows, wash your car, take out your trash. Just hook it up.
Hey, you can find them in the Home Depot parking lot next week.
Oh, okay.
I
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's racial or just, we'll just leave it there.
Take it as you will.
Latest.